Hey friends, it is Ben again. I'm in my office where it's a little cold, so I've got my hat and my jacket on and so forth. And if you hear a weird whistling in the background, it is the sounds of the pipes here at Frank because it's a windy day. Okay, so we are going to take a look at the assignment for Tuesday, 2nd of May. And I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of some side issues on that as well. Okay. So, first thing with regard to this is how to get started on things. And I want to make sure to make mention about folders and stuff. I grew up with computers not being as capable as they are now. And so we had to be very organized about figuring out where things were on the computer. And so some of the things that come very natural to me, y'all don't have to worry about because you've got so much space on your computer that you can be messy with it. But what I'll talk about here, man, if I can find it, is, and nope, I'm gonna minimize that. And I've got to minimize that, minimize that, and minimize that. Oof. Okay, big mess. All right, so here on my computer, I've got a Mac, but what I'm going to say here is applicable for Windows machines too. It's just you have to shift a little bit. I have made a folder called PDF assignment, and in it, I have a file called 2021 GO official vote underscore 638 blah 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 blah, bunch of numbers. Okay. And I also have my Jupyter notebook. They're in the same folder together so that some of the things that I do will be easier. All right. If you don't want to do that and you want to deal with everything being at the root directory or someplace else, you can totally do that, but you're going to have to go find out about relative paths and things like that. Okay. So trying to make this as easy as possible. All right. Anyway, though, we're going to get those things in the same folder. And let's see here. Yeah, there's my Anaconda window, and here's my Chrome window. Sorry. And we're not going to jump to that just yet. Yeah, I'm going to make this point that if you start Anaconda and then start Jupyter Notebooks, when you start it, it will put you in the root directory. And then the root directory, all these folders that are listed there from that, including desktop, are going to be under that. And here my PDF assignment. Notice I'm just clicking to navigate around to this. Okay. But if you have opened that folder and you click the new button, it will create a new Jupyter notebook in that folder. Okay. If you create the folder somewhere else and then you need to drag it around, I don't know if the kernel will know where it's at or not. Just probably depends on what you're doing. Okay. But another point that somebody made to me today that I have been forgetting about, when you're through, don't just close your tab. Go up here to quit and then close your tab. If you don't quit, it leaves something running in your processor that drains your battery. So please keep that in mind. And so, as a matter of fact, I guess I could probably quit my kernel here. Okay. Anyway, though, I'm going to then say, this is the stuff about the assignment. If you're working through that section that is in Automate the Boring Stuff, it talks about doing things that are not this assignment. They would be a good idea to do to get some practice. Okay, but I'm not collecting those. Additionally, some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in here, I'm going to point out that you don't need to include, right? So play along. We'll see how we're doing on this. So what I'm wanting you to do is to learn how to take a PDF file that has a table of data in it and to put that table of data into an Excel file. Okay. Sounds like a really super straightforward thing. The reason why I think that it would be handy for me to tell you how to do this sort of thing is that I occasionally get data like that where I think to myself, in my arrogance, I can just highlight the information in a PDF, copy it, paste it into the Excel document. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And this is a way that will work and can expedite some things. Okay. So, yeah, bear with me as we go along with this. And I'm going to talk you through what we're doing in the assignment. However, before I do that, I want to point out what the file is that we're looking at. So over here on desktop 2, the file we have, the first page of it says official Canvas general election, November 8th, 2022. This is from the state of Illinois. If you're wondering why the state of Illinois, I just stumbled upon this and I found it's got information in tables and a PDF file. And that's annoying. And I'm going to show you how to make it into something that you can deal with a little bit easier. So you will find this fairly frequently out on the web. The reason that you find stuff in it, you find data in a PDF file is PDFs are very easy to print. However, as you would find from reading the section, PDF files are not really easy to do computing with. Reading information off of them, sometimes it's just painful, and so the formatting is not super consistent. So keep that in mind as you're having to produce PDFs for all kinds of stuff. However, with what we're doing, what I thought was that I would, first of all, I thought that I would use the stuff straight out of the textbook, straight out of the Automate the Boring Stuff book. And then Googling, I found out that there were some nice things out there, including a package called Tabula, which could read more than one table off of a page at a time. And I was delighted. That was exactly what I wanted to show you all how to do. So I came over here, started my Jupyter Notebook and said import Tabula. And it said, no, I don't know what that is. Which I thought, great, this is an instructive problem. So I will tell it to pip install Tabula. Okay, so this is something that commonly happens. If there's a package you need to use that you don't have, you tell it pip install the name of the package. So looking at the website about Tabula, it said that the package to install was Tabula Pi, but when you import it, that you would import just Tabula. So I did that. It did not give me an error, which meant that it imported Tabula. So yay. And then I started using it. I said, Tabula, read the PDF. And it said to me, oh, no, sorry, I can't do that. You have to have a Java runtime environment. And I don't, okay? So I could have said, hey, let's go install all this extra stuff, but I didn't want to make you do that. So I looked for a different solution. And then I looked in the textbook and it talks about using PyPDF2, right? And so I tried to import that, and of course it didn't know about it. So consulting the text, it said to do a pip install but that you wanted to make sure to tell it that the version number was 1.26.0, because later versions might change some of the syntax or something. So I went ahead and did that install, and then I told it to import PyPDF2, and it told me no, even though I'd done the install. It might be that I needed to restart the kernel or something. But what I did notice from poking around on the internet a little bit is that the people who were making PyPDF2 said that they weren't going to support it anymore, and they went back to supporting a package called PyPDF. So I decided, let's just deal with PyPDF. Okay. If you are doing the stuff from the textbook, let me suggest just use PyPDF instead of PyPDF2. And if you run into problems, let me know and we'll kind of work around them. Okay. But remember, here is not us working through the stuff in the book. We're working through this assignment where you're going to pull the information from a PDF. Okay. So I said to import that PDF reader from PyPDF, and it said, nope, I can't do that, which told me I needed to do the pip install again. And notice, by the way, what the pip install does. It collects the package from an online repository. It checks to see if there are any requirements. And if the requirements are not satisfied, then it downloads more stuff for you. But installs the packages and reports back. And I think I must have restarted the kernel after this, because if you notice, this was input number 9, and now the next thing is input number 5. So there's probably some stuff that I've deleted that I've forgotten about. But once I did that pip install, now I can import PDF reader. Okay. Here you'll notice I have the file name. I just went over to the file itself and copied the file name and pasted it. If you have it in a different directory, then you might have to put in the directory information for that. If you ever need to figure that stuff out, you can go to the file, click on it. The command, the option that you choose on a Mac is get info. I don't remember what the name is on Windows, but I remember it being relatively easy to find the path portion for it. But you copy and paste it in here, put it inside of double quotes, and we are going to pass that file name to our PDF reader. Okay. So then I have a variable called reader, and that's going to create an object that basically has all of the pages associated with it. And here I went ahead and said, what's the number of pages, and told it to print those out. Remember that if you type the name of a variable or multiple variables, the last one that you've typed will be the only thing that it's going to print and show you. If you want to print multiple things, you need to use the print statement for it. Okay. But I found out there's 221 pages of ballot information here. So it's a lot of pages. And just to make sure things were what I thought, I went ahead and said page, that we're going to take pages 0. That will be the first page. And then I went ahead and told it, show me what's in page. Boy, look at this. Oops, and that was annoying. And it starts with art box, and then it has a bleed box, and it's got contents and a crop box and blah, blah, blah. No text, because the text is stored under text, right? I said page, the page that I'd read out, extract the text, and put that in text. So that means I need to go over here and type text to see what it says. And it said official Canvas \n is a new line character. It makes a new line, you know. But official canvas, general election, November 8th, 2022. I have another window open that I'm looking at the PDF. Yes, that's the first page of it. Yay. But it looks like crap, right? So, well, in any case, we're going to go over here, and instead of dealing with page of 0, we'll do page of 2, which will be page 3. Okay. But I had looked at it, and page 1 was the title page, and page 2 was the table of contents. And page 3 says on it, when I printed it out here, Illinois State Board of Elections, new line, general election of November 8th, 2022, new line, so on and so forth. Okay. All the things that are in capital letters, those are county names. So this is the information I want. And if instead of giving the name text, if I tell it to print text, it will interpret those new line characters as new lines. And if you had any tab characters, then it would make things aligned and stuff like that. So I printed it out here in order to see the information and left it like that. Okay. Now, the thing that you need to notice is here, Hardin County, it did not insert a new line. And then again at Morgan County, it did not insert a new line. I was like, gosh, why did that happen? And so I looked over here at the actual file. Hardin is the top of the second column. Morgan is the top of the third column. Okay, so that makes sense. The thing that happened was that it was reading a new table and it just jammed them together. But for what we need, we would like that to be fixed. So we have to figure out what to do. Now, the text variable that we're printing here, text, that is actually a string variable. And there are gazillions of different functions to deal with strings to do all kinds of things. So the thing I want to do is to take that string and to insert in it a new line character before Hardin and another one before Morgan. So let me see if I can find the right thing here. Yeah. So I found this website by searching, how do I insert a character into a string in Python? And it gave me this function here. Can I make that bigger? Yeah. Where you would say, give a literal string, the tick marks and no space between them, dot join. So dot join is a function that's built into every string. Okay. And so this one here will take whatever is given to it as arguments, and it will join them together to make a new string. So this one had the string that has tutorials point without the ending T, and it just jammed a T on the end. I needed something more like this other example where it would take three things. The first thing is the string I'm dealing with, and that notation of square bracket :9 means everything before the 9th character. This notation that has the 9 colon means the 9th character and everything after it. Okay, so coming back to our example, I needed to figure out where Hardin started, right? And so then I Googled, how do I find a particular substring or word in in a string in Python. And I got this example here where somebody was trying to look for an answer to something else, but they had said that if I said string find word and string contains word, it would give me the first occurrence of that word. And in particular, it would give me the place that it happened at. That's exactly what I needed, right? So I came along here and I said, my word is harden, and I want to take the text and find that word. And I stored it in index and got 620 out of it. Okay. And then to test this out, I said, okay, take and actually, I screwed up when I entered this. I didn't tell it to do the right thing. I told it to join text everything up to index, but I didn't tell it what to join it to. Interestingly, it does not give an error when I tell it to join something and I don't put a second thing. Actually comes in handy later, okay? But notice that it did not print out harden. And that's what I wanted, because I had told it to go up to index, but nothing past that. So that meant that I could go ahead here and say string join text up to index, a new line character, text after index. And I went ahead and had it print that to make sure that it was going to work the way I needed it to. Okay. Please notice on your final answer on this, you don't need that portion, right? But this was me experimenting to figure out stuff. Oh, sorry. Likewise, your assignment, you should not turn in anything about tabula. Okay. So I was experimenting with tabula and it didn't work out. Don't bother trying to put that in. Okay. Okay. So the thing I need to do here then is to take and make that string that I just figured out, but I'm going to assign it back to the text variable. So it overwrites it with something that has that new line in them. That makes sense? And then the next place that I have a problem is where Morgan is at. And so I just pull the same trick. Okay. And then because I'm paranoid, I went ahead and printed it to make sure. And yes, indeed, it does have all that information. Come on. It does have all that information. It has a new line at Harden, and it has a new line at Morgan. Okay. So the next thing to deal with is I don't want this information. I just want the counties and the numbers. So the first county is Adams. I will tell it to search for Adams. And then just to make sure this will work, print and tell it to print from Adams onward. Okay. And that print statement looked like it worked out. So I went ahead and updated and said text equals text of index onward. Okay. But notice that I have this page number at the end. So I went ahead and told it to find that I, okay. If I had not pulled the initial stuff off the beginning, the top matter off the beginning, it would have found that lowercase I in other places. So, you know, kind of got to do it in the right order. But I had to play around a little bit to make sure that it was getting it at the right spot. Since it found it at 1480 and the length of the document was only 1481, that means that it was there at the end, right? So I went ahead and did my trick here of saying the word is that the index is where you find it, text one, everything up to index. Okay. And then I printed it to make sure that it did what I thought it did. And it does look like it eliminated things. Now, what I didn't spot, and this will come back to bite me later, is that there's a blank line at the end. Because there's a new line character you can't see here. Okay, so that's going to come back on me. However, note here that I stored this in text one. Okay, so that's my first page that I'm going to deal with. Now we're going to go down and figure out how to do text two. And text two is coming from pages of 3. So that is the 4th page in your PDF. And I'm looking at it in another window here. That is the total ballots cast in each county, right? So I went ahead and did the same things as before. I read it, I printed it to make sure it looked like what I thought it did. Then I went ahead and did all the same stuff. And I just did it all at once. Okay. If y'all want to do it all at once in yours for the first page, the previous page, that's okay. All right. But I was figuring it out as it was going along. So after I do all those things there, then I have a listing of the number of ballots cast in each of those counties. So, and again, there's an extra line at the end. So, okay, so then I was trying to figure out how to break this up into pieces. And my initial thought on it was that that I would, I had some guesses about different things to do, and none of them were working out very well. And then let's see if I can find this. I'm going to just have to leaf through here to find which one of these things that I found. And Python, why? Okay. Okay, here I think is it. Nope. Okay, here we go. So this is the split method, and it gave me an example there. I guess I'll run it real quick to see. Didn't really want to jump into an extra window for that, but whatever. So running this on w3schools.com, I had a text that said, "Welcome to the jungle." I told it to split, and it split it into the 4 words, right? So that seems like exactly what I need. And I come back in here and I said, let's do all words 1 from text 1, and we'll just split that. And then I got it to print stuff out. And I thought, oh, yeah, this seems like this is working pretty well. I got Adams, and then I got number, and I got Alexander, and I got number. Okay, so I got some print statements that you don't need to include in your version, but this was experimenting around. But then I said, all words 1 of 1, that is the 43,037. Let's turn it into a number. And so the obvious thing to do is to just say, take the integer of it. And it says, nope, you got a comma in it. We can't change it. So I poked around a little bit and found this trick. you can say all words one. Since that's a string, it has a function that says replace, and I can just tell it to replace all the commas with nothing. And so it turned it turned the string into something without a comma, and then I could use int to get the number. Okay. So if you're saying that seems like you're worrying too much here, Ben, I'm just going to write these into an Excel spreadsheet. Excel is fine with numbers that have commas in them. But if you write a string, it's going to know it's a string, and it may or may not be able to know how to make it into an integer, and you may or may not be able to sum things up. So this is just something where we're figuring stuff out. Okay. So when we want to print stuff out there, we can go ahead and use an integer of the all words of a particular position, but replacing commas with no spaces. And that will turn it into a number. Okay. But then I printed something and discovered there was a problem. And you can see this by having it print all words. I should have said all words one there, but comma two. So it was every other one. So you get the county names and county names and county names and county names and county names until suddenly you start getting numbers. And then suddenly you go back. So I looked over at the PDF file and discovered that there's not a Rock County, there's a Rock Island County. So if I tell it to print out every other one there, it printed Rock. And then if I tried to take island and turn it into a number, it wouldn't know what to do. Wow, that was a little painful. But it means that we have to do something very special just to accommodate those few things there. And it's because Rock Island and St. Clair counties have more than one word in them. So what I realized is that because you've got new line characters there, you could actually tell all words to be the split on the new line character instead of just leaving it blank. And then when I went ahead and printed, it looked like everything was going to print out fine. Yeah, actually, I had a problem crop up, but it had to do with the fact that I had typed all words instead of all words one. So when I say this doesn't work, that's a lie. It actually does work. Okay. So now we have all of these as a separate thing. And we can refer to them as all words one of K and get a particular one out there. So that means we're going to be able to actually use a loop variable and to just step through these and do something with them. However, in doing that, when I discovered, where is it here? When I discovered Rock Island is two pieces, then I can't really, I was having difficulty figuring out how to get it to do both of Rock Island and how to pull off the last bit there. So what I realized was that I could take all words, and I had to count and figure out that Rock Island is number 80. So if I take all words, which is the whole line, Rock Island, and then the number, and I split it under something, just call it temporary, then I can tell it to join all the stuff from temp starting at 0, and this -1 tells it don't include the last thing, right? Okay. And it indeed said, okay, Rock Island. And I said, well, crap, that doesn't have a space in it. But you know what? Kind of tired of this. I'm going to call it good enough and just let it go. All right. So if we have a variable that, a string, a set of a line in this, we can break it apart into strings, either 2 or 3 strings, and we can tell it then to join the stuff that doesn't include the last one. And I went ahead and experimented with Richland County, which is a single word, and saw that if you split it and then join it and tell it to not put the last thing in there, that it doesn't screw it up. Okay. So that's the trick here, is having to do something special for just those 2 counties. Sorry, but what we end up having to do. So then I ran into some other problems, and I forget exactly what the problems were. Let me come down here and look. What was it? Yeah, I ran into an error because it decided that it had a problem that it was getting when I wanted to talk about the last piece. It just was saying that a list index was out of range. And I thought it was about the -1, and it was not. So what I ended up having it do was to just go ahead and print out some stuff so I could try to figure out where the error happened. And it turns out that it happened after it had printed all the counties out. Do you remember earlier I said that there is a blank line at the end? That blank line is a new line character just by itself. And so it ends up goofing some things up. So I had to work around that. But let's talk about what's being done here before that happens. Okay. We're taking text 1, that's page 3, and text 2 is page 4, telling them to split. And we know what those are going to look like. And we're going to build another dictionary like we did on the previous day's assignment. And so cut that out. Line 1 is going to be all words of K. So we're looping through stuff there. Split. Line 2, all words to, we're going to split. The county is going to be that thing will be joined together. So it'll get Rock Island or Richmond or St. Clair County. Any of these various counties there will get joined in and made as a single word. And then our county data, which we started off as being empty, we'll tell it to set the default to be whatever county we've got there, and then to put after it registered and votes as zeros. Okay. So, and then we're going to tell it to take county data of county of registered. And now we're going to take the stuff that came from from all words 1, line 1. Okay. So then -1 says to take the last thing out of the all words there, or of the, and replace the commas with a blank space, and then do an integer of it so that it turns it into a number. Okay. And then votes will be the stuff coming from the second page. All right. So then I asked it at the end of that to print my county data. And I have a couple of things here where I messed with it for a while. because I couldn't figure out what was going on that caused it to go wrong. And once I eventually found out that I had a new line character on the last line, I fixed it by just saying, well, don't do the last line. So I went to length of all words -1. And that fixed it to just skip that. Once I get down here, now I've got county data, and it's in a dictionary like we dealt with from Monday. And you've got each of the things, the registered voters and number of votes. Okay. And when I was able to see those, then I want to be able to put them into a spreadsheet. So I have to import OpenPixel and pprint. Actually, I don't use pprint, do I? Huh. Did not notice that. So I didn't actually need that. I just needed the OpenPixel. Just like the stuff we did for Monday, we're going to use OpenPixel, and we're going to create a workbook. Notice I did not start with reading anything. We read the PDF. We're going to write to an Excel spreadsheet. But by doing this here, just workbook, it just creates a blank one. The blank one will have a sheet 1 in it by default, but I wanted to tell it to create sheet. Okay. Actually, I guess we didn't need to do that. I should have just made it the first sheet. So in any case, we're going to name the sheet and create the sheet variable here so that it knows how to do stuff to it. And we're going to come along here and on A1, put the word county. On B1, put the word registrations. On C1, put the vote totals. Okay. So those are just words that we're putting up at the head of the column so that it makes it easier to read. Then, much like we did on stuff for Monday, we're going to do a loop here. We're going to start out with talking about row 1, because spreadsheets don't start at 0, they start at 1. So I'm just going to say row equals 1. And my for loop, I'm going to be looping through county data. And I'm going to be saying for county in county data. And that will read out the particular county in the dictionary. Okay. I tell it to add 1 to my row because I don't want to write in row 1. I want to write in row 2. And my X, I'm going to take county data of the county of reg for, the registered voters there. And the Y, I'm going to read the number of votes. And maybe I should have put ballots for that. Yeah. Do what you like. Okay. But like the stuff for Monday, I went ahead and told it to take sheet A of row value, set it to be equal to whatever county is. And then in column B, put the registered voters, and in column C, put the number of ballots cast. Okay. And then finally, at the end, file path county registration and votes.xlsx. It's telling it the name of the file to make, and we tell it to save. Okay. Some of y'all had a little bit of confusion about this the other day, that if you don't tell it to save it, it hasn't saved yet. So even though this file, this spreadsheet has been created, until it gets the save command issued, it's not saved. So, okay. But in any case, what you should end up with, gosh, give me a second here and I will find my spreadsheet. I've had this open, haven't I? Yeah. Okay. So let me share that with you real quick here. So here's what the Excel spreadsheet looks like. If you look down at the bottom, notice the tab that we made has the county and registered voters and vote totals in it. But we've got this sheet that was blank there. When you do your assignment, how about if y'all just go ahead and put it on that sheet 1 instead? See if you can find out how to change the name of that without just going into Excel and changing the name of it. You know, do it from within your code. So Google it and see what you find out. But what are you turning in? The notebook that we've just gone through what you're doing with. In that notebook, you don't need any of the Tabula stuff, okay? You don't need any of the PyPDF2 stuff. What you do need is the stuff where we're figuring out PyPDF, getting it installed and so forth. And then this file here, you do not need to include any of the stuff where I was experimenting and trying to figure something out. You can just go directly to the code that does what you need it to. So, all right. But I'm leaving it to you to have this Jupyter notebook with all the appropriate stuff in it. And then also the Excel spreadsheet that it produces. Those are the 2 things to turn in. Okay. Should get it done for you. All right. Thanks, friends. I'll see you in class tomorrow.